Hello, folks. As you can see, I have attorney Glenn Chang from recording from the Manila, Philippines, and he talked to us last time about what's going on in the Philippines regarding the Smartmatic election machines. And there was just recently a Senate committee hearing, I believe, on that subject. But I'm going to let you, Glenn, explain what's going on now in the Philippines in regard to the whole Smartmatic thing and the whole election.
Hi, Ron, and to our viewers, I hope you had a good day today. This is a follow-up hearing to the one that we had on July 31. That was the first time that we had a hearing concerning the issue of election fraud in the Philippines, which is conducted by Smartmatic. And then we had another hearing that was on August 6, 2018. And this one's the third hearing, which was held last Thursday, September 13, 2018 at the Senate of the Philippines. But before that, however, we were informed that, although belatedly, they had an executive session. When you say executive session, senators and the congressmen are allowed to join or participate in that hearing. The public, the media, they are prohibited from, they are not allowed to join or participate in the hearing. Now that hearing, if it's an executive session, usually it's held at either at the House of Representatives or in the Senate of the Philippines. But this particular executive session, Ron, was held at Manila Polo Club. It's outside of the Senate of the Philippines, and that's why we're complaining. Why would you conduct an executive session outside of the premises of the Senate? And we also came to know that they discussed about other issues concerning the issues that we have already brought up before in public, and that's why we're fighting for a public hearing. And so they held another one on September 13. So in that hearing, I came prepared because on July 31, we had a hearing. I was able to brought up those issues. Remember, I said that there were 459 precincts, voting centers that were already transmitting one day before the elections. One day before the election. And yes, and then there were other issues, among them the use of a queue server, where all election results, instead of going directly to the canvassing system, they pass through these queue servers, which were hidden from the public, which the public never knew. It was never reviewed by the public. So that's the big question there. So in that hearing on September 13, that was Thursday, the Senate President of the Philippines, who was the first one, who was very instrumental in bringing this issue to the core of public attention and discussion, brought it up again, the issue of the queue servers, because all results will have to pass through that queue server before they are finally officially publicized to the public, published to the public. So if there is any manipulation, it could be done through the queue servers because nobody else knew it. And this, as far as we know, this was controlled only by the Venezuelans of Smartmatic. So, of course, the Commission on Elections, our electoral body, was represented there by its chairman. Of course, the chairman doesn't talk. He just listened. So all the time, the executive director was talking, and he was actually denying everything about the queue servers. I think that's the time. That was the time that the Senate President really got hurt. He was really hurt at the response. And even I myself, I was also questioning the executive director. And as a matter of fact, I sort of shouted at him because he was, and this is a Senate hearing. I sort of shouted at him because he was asking me, Ron, why I was angry. And I said, how can I have been that angry? You're always lying all the time. So I think the Senate President suddenly blurted out something like, okay, I will bring out my witness. Witnesses, actually, he said he has two witnesses about the cheating of Smartmatic in our elections in 2016. And these two witnesses, he said, were employees of Smartmatic themselves. They were employees of Smartmatic themselves who are willing to testify against Smartmatic. And so he said, I will bring forth, yes, I will bring forth my witnesses in the next hearing. And then, of course, the chairman of that committee, Senator Pimentel, suddenly cut off the hearing. He suspended the hearing for a few minutes, and then he conferred with the Senate President about this next hearing. And then finally, he resumed the hearing and said, okay, in the next hearing, we're going to allow the Senate President to bring his witnesses to this hearing and discuss these issues publicly. And I hope they will not go again into an executive session and hide again from the public, because these are issues that must be brought forward in a public hearing. So from that time on, yes, sir, from that time on, that was already put to rest. Okay, in the next hearing, the Senate President is going to bring his two witnesses who are who are employees of Smartmatic, and then they will have to testify on what they found out in that elections in 2016. So in the meantime, I brought up again my issues, and I said to the Senate President that, I mean, to the chairman, Senator Pimentel, that in the July 31 hearing, I clearly remembered he said that if in case I were found out to be lying, or I deceived the committee or the Senate of the Philippines, they're going to put sanctions on me. They're going to impose sanctions on me. And so I reminded them about that sanctions. Ron, that's the only thing I can show to the public, that I am ready to face a sanction if they can prove that I was lying or I was deceiving the Senate of the Philippines. Because I knew that in the July 31 hearing, I already accused the Commission on Elections, I already accused Smartmatic of cheating our elections, particularly with respect to the 459 precincts or polling centers. We're already transmitting results 1 day before the elections. So I said that the Commission on Elections had already submitted in writing their answer to my allegations, okay? They already submitted their official communication, their official answer to my allegations. Now, I have read that answer, that communication, and it says, in essence, there is no cheating, that I was not able to prove anything. So I brought it up to the Senate and said there that it appears now that we have already joined the issues. Me, on my part, Glenn Chong, accused the COMELEC and Smartmatic of cheating the elections. And the Commission on Elections are COMELEC, and Smartmatic says there was no cheating. So therefore, one of us is lying, Ron, right? One of us is
different. The day before the election occurred, there has to be cheating. It's obvious to me.
Yes, because we were able to prove that these transmissions happened between May 8 to May 9 when the election was May 9. And even during the night before, on the eve of the elections, they were transmitting. And as a matter of fact, I have not brought it up to the public. This is the first time I will discuss this. There were even transmissions to unaccounted for canvassing systems. These are systems that are not in the legitimate list, in the legitimate rosters of canvassing systems. Why were these machines transmitting to these unaccounted for hidden canvassing systems? And I can identify them: transcode, transmission code 9701, and transmission code 9702. And that's why, because I said already in the Senate that I have already made my accusations, and the Commission on Elections and Smartmatic already made their answer. Now, whatever I said, whatever they said, are opposite, diametrically opposed to each other. I said there was cheating. They said there was no cheating. Now the issues have been joined. I told the Senate, what is your verdict? Who is lying, me or them? Because I would like you to impose the sanctions on me if I am lying. Now, you know, Ron, they never answered me. They never imposed any sanction on me. Why? Because they know I'm telling the truth. And that's why I said, if you're going to, before you impose a sanction, on me, as part of my constitutional right to due process, you have to let me answer, and I would like to show something on the projector screens. That's what they don't want me to show. That's what they don't want me to show. Because I was prepared to hammer again on Smartmatic and Comelec. Because, you know, their answer were basically purely lies. It was all a lie. That from page 1 to page 23, it was 23 pages long. From page 1 to page 23, it was all littered with lies. It doesn't deserve attention. That answer is better thrown in the garbage bin. So that's why I was very, very, courageous enough. I was even challenging the Senate. I even said, I challenge this Senate and this committee to allow me to show these slides in the projector. I think I said it 3 times in different occasions during that 4-hour session. It was 4.5-hour session. I keep on repeating it because I was laying the premise, if in case they will impose sanctions on me. But then they didn't impose any sanctions on me. Therefore, the plain conclusion, Ron, is that I was telling the truth. I was telling the truth all along. Remember, when I made my accusations, I made an oath before them. I was telling the truth, and everything that I said is backed up by documentary evidence. So that's why, in that hearing, I was very prepared to show my rebuttal to the answer of the Commission on Elections, because I know that those answers were all littered with lies, and my rebuttal are based on documentary evidence. As a matter of fact, I'm using their own evidence to prove that they are lying. I am using their own evidence. They were presenting evidence actually in that 23-page answer. I was prepared to show that here you are showing evidence tending to show that I was telling the truth. But then they don't want to show it to the public because I think the syndicate, I call them syndicate, and they cannot anymore defend themselves. And I keep on challenging them.
All governments, it doesn't matter where they are, they're all corrupted. All of them. In all countries around the world.
Yes, sir. Yeah, so, and then here's what, actually, I was raising my hand almost every time. And finally, when the session was about to end, I raised my hand again, and I was called again. And that's when I made this revelation. You know what? From May 8 all the way until May 12, the logs of the computer system they were using, the election servers that they were using, we were able to show that they were accessing YouTube, Google, Yahoo, and Facebook. But the worst is they were also watching porn.
Wow.
You see, they were watching porn using the very election server that was already counting the votes, because we were counting votes from May 9 around midnight all the way until May 12. And you can see from the logs that they were accessing pornhub.com and xvideos.com. So I brought it up, and then the Senate committee said that, okay, we will allow they will allow me to show proof that they were really accessing those porn sites, and in return, Smartmatic will be required to answer, because accessing these porn sites may actually put a serious risk on the transmission infrastructure of the election system. So
I would think so.
Sir?
I said I would think so.
Yes, because one of that site, xvideos.com, I actually checked it when I found out that they were accessing porn sites. I used my laptop to access that xvideos.com, and my laptop blocked it. My Norton antivirus security blocked it because it is a security threat. So you see, they were using an election server to access porn sites, which are normally blocked by Norton because it is a security risk. So these are issues that we have been able to bring forward to the public. But there are many other issues that that I was able to bring in that original hearing on July 31. Actually, I had so many issues there. I think that I had 11 separate issues on fraud. And the Commission on Elections chose to answer only 7. The 4 others, they refused to answer. There was really no mention about the 4 other issues. And these are the more important
The
issues.
more important one.
The more important ones, missing votes. They never answered about missing votes because we were able to document. There was a case that I was able to bring out in the hearing because in our political system we have party list. The party list, these are actually members of Congress that are elected from party list groups based on their advocacies. So like you have a party list for fisher folks, you have party list for disabled persons, for senior citizens, so the people can elect them at large. Now there was this one party list. It's called CONSLA. I think the con there refers to constitution. They're more like protecting the constitution. So that's their advocacy. On the day after the elections, they were already able to garner 550,000 votes, more or less. I just rounded the figures up. 550,000 votes. And this was officially recorded in the transparency server. It is the election server that broadcasts results to the media and to the public. So that's why they were able to get a screenshot of the computer system, of the server in which their votes came out. That was up to 12 noon of May 10. The election was May 9, so the next day, about 19 hours after the elections, they were able to get 550,000 votes, more or less. I just rounded the figures off. So, however, if they're able to get 550,000 votes, they have already one assured seat in the House of Representatives. So they can put their own congressman. They have one congressman already at 550,000 votes. However, a week later, when the official results from the Commission on Elections came out, their votes shrunk to just 200,000 votes.
Wow.
So from 550,000, which was already broadcasted by the transparency server, the server that is broadcasting results to the media and to the public, it was already broadcasted. It was already well known. They had 550,000 votes as of 12 noon of May 10. How come 1 week later, the election server in the Commission on Elections only reflected 200,000 votes, more or less? They lost 350,000, more or less. So 350,000 votes. So you see, when I was able to bring it up to the public, of course, the chairman of the committee required COMELEC to answer. And you know what the Commission on Elections said? We will investigate that, Your Honor. Huh? You're going to investigate again? You've been investigating this since 2016. This issue had been brought up to the public already by CONSLA. They've been complaining. They've been loudly paying ads in newspapers about what happened to them. And so therefore, I would assume that the Commission on Elections have already investigated this 2 years ago. How come the answer of the Commission 2 years later is, we're going to investigate it, Your Honor? So you see, this Commission is stalling. This Commission is hiding something. It does not want to answer in public. And you see, after the hearing, towards the end of the hearing, I said a while ago that I have been challenging the Senate of the Philippines, that particular committee, to sanction me if, and it's a big if they can prove that I was lying or I was deceiving them. And then I said, I will rebut the answer of the Commission on Elections point by point. Allow me to show it in the projector screen so that the public can see it, the media can see it, and you see what the answer will be. You just submit your rebuttal in writing. Okay, they just want me to submit my rebuttal in writing because they don't want the public to see it. They don't want the public to hear it because that is part of the cover-up.
It's a shame that this stuff goes on, but it's not, again, like I said, it's not just the Philippines. It's the United States and virtually all countries.
Yeah, Ron, but I would really thank you for this opportunity because In most cases, when I'm talking in the Philippines, I speak either in Tagalog, which is our national language, or I speak in my local dialect, Cebuano or Waray-Waray. And of course, our English-speaking audiences would not have access to these things, especially for the rest of the world. But with you, with this conduit, this medium that you have, I will be able to project a message to the rest of the world, to the English-speaking audiences, about what is happening with this company called Smartmatic. And I think I don't know if I was able to discuss this before. One of their chief officials, one of their primary employees, primary officials here, that was assigned who was assigned in 2016, has actually been sued in court already for violation of the Anti-Cybercrime Offense, Anti-Cybercrimes Act, Republic Act 10175. And he is facing a criminal charge before the lower courts, that's the Regional Trial Court of Manila. And you know, before the warrant of arrest could be issued for him, for his arrest, he was spirited out of the country by Smartmatic and reassigned in Panama. And
You
the
told me
only
that in the previous
so
video.
yeah, and only the Filipinos are now facing trial in the courts. The foreigners have been spirited out of this country because they don't want them to be imprisoned here, because they know that the crime was really committed. And it's very insulting to us Filipinos, and even to other nationalities, that um, you have an election system that's run like this, that's run like a mafia. And now, forward in 2019, I really feel that they're going to push Smartmatic down our throats. They're going to run Smartmatic down our throats, whether we like it or not. And that's why I will keep on talking about these issues, and I hope the public will support me, will continue to support me as they have been supporting me, because this is the only way that we can fight back. And I hope that this example that we show in the Philippines can also be an example for other nationalities, for other citizens like the Americans, and for others who love democracy, who value and cherish the ideals of democracy. We cannot allow our elections to be cheated, to be stolen, and to be squandered away in this type of using this system.
Yes, I totally agree. And you know, understanding a little bit about how the world is, you know, the people that are the money that control the international monetary system, they are corrupt and have been corrupt for a very, very long time. And it's a
Yes,
big
sir.
challenge for the people to get their voice heard and to try to fix things and make things more upstanding, more honest. It's a very big challenge for all of us, for all of humanity. And by the way, your last video had a lot of people from the Philippines that that commented on the video. That was more comments than I've had in a long time on any of my videos. So
Yes,
I
sir. That's
appreciate.
why I appreciate the opportunity you have given us, because this is the only time that I'm really forced to speak English. Because otherwise, if I were interviewed in local media, I would rather speak in Tagalog, so that my message can get to a broader audience. But I'm also very well aware that there are people also in the Philippines who would prefer that I speak in English, and this is the only opportunity that I have, because the one interviewing me is speaking in English. So I thank you for this opportunity, sir. And I hope the people in the Philippines, and I really hope also that the Americans who, anyway, this video can be viewed anywhere in the world. I hope that the people from other countries, other nationalities, other citizens, if they are also under the spell of Smartmatic, will also learn to fight. Because even if we are not really a rich country, and we have our own share of imperfections economically, politically, and whatever else, but we have to fight. There's nothing left for us. There is really nothing left for us. Even if you say, sir, that the economic system, the political system are all controlled by people with money and are corrupt. And then what are we going to do? Are we just going to surrender? Now, if we still have it in our hearts to fight, then we have to stand up and fight. because we cannot allow them to enslave us forever. We cannot allow them to enslave us forever. Yes, sir. So I hope that these issues can be discussed more, and I really hope the Americans also. This is not interference in your election system, but I know that the footprints of Smartmatic is all over the United States. As a matter of fact, they were bragging that they had over 50,000 machines, which are one way or the other, directly or indirectly.
Mostly in the big cities where Hillary won, where
All right?
Hillary Clinton won. In the rural areas where Donald Trump won, they don't have the Smartmatic machines.
So you mean, sir, in urban areas where Hillary won, these were controlled by Smartmatic? Most likely. When you say Smartmatic, I really don't trust this company, not an inch. I'm sorry about this. Their history is littered with lies and deception. And even now, actually, and in that hearing, sir, in that hearing on September 13, I went up to Smartmatic's main guy in the Philippines, the president of Smartmatic in the Philippines, and I challenged him. I told him, you're only good at releasing press releases, or should I call it praise releases. You're only good at that. I'm challenging you to a public debate on these issues. I will face you anytime. You can bring your technicians and whoever else you want to bring. Let's face each other. Let's square off. Let's publicly discuss this. And the lawyer was trying to stop me, and then I told him, "You shut up there." I was really challenging him so that we can really bring these issues to the fore, because I would really show to them. I would like to show to the public, I'm not afraid of these guys. I will continue to fight for my country because this is the only country I have. And what future do we have if our elections will be stolen? If our elections will just simply be sold to the highest bidder? Remember, when it is sold to the highest bidder, of course, these people will recover their investments. They will recover their investments many times over. So how many times do we get the whammy over these things? So that's why, well, of course, if we try to listen corruption, we have to start with our election system. Because when the election system is corrupted, then all the rest of the political system can also be corrupted. It's the root cause of corruption. A corrupted election system is the root cause of corruption. And I tell you, I have seen for myself with my own very eyes what this type of system can do to the people.
Yeah, it's disheartening, but it as I said, it's happening all over the world. It's not just in the Philippines, but I do very much appreciate you taking the time to explain what's happening so that people can get a perspective from the opposite side of the world. Our times are exactly the same, except mine's AM and yours is PM.
Yes,
but they're exactly the same.
And this is also the time that I'm almost at home. So, sir, by the way, I apologize for the gap yesterday. I was really caught up in traffic, and I really would like to apologize for that. You've been waiting for such a long time, and I really, really apologize. Now, you see, sir, what my message will be for the public at large, or the people viewing us, is that I'm still here fighting, not for myself, but for all of us. So I hope you will stand up and fight with us. This is a war that is not easy to win. It is a battle that cannot be handed, that victory cannot be handed to us in a silver platter. We have to fight for it. But whenever we win, we should never yield an inch of ground, because that's when we win. And when we win it for the public, we win it for our country, we win it for our people and for our future. That's for you and for me.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it, Glenn. And
Thank you, sir.
I hope you'll have a wonderful rest of the day. And I'll go ahead and get this processed, and it will go up about 24 hours, 23 hours from now. It'll go live, and for anybody that wants to tune in around the world.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right.